Land reform refers to efforts to reform the ownership and regulation of land in India, or those lands which are redistributed by the government from landholders to landless people for various purposes like agriculture or any special purpose. This is known as land reform. Taxation and regulation under the British Raj. At the time of independence, India inherited a semi-feudal agrarian system with ownership of land concentrated in the hands of a few individual landlords. Since independence, there has been voluntary and state-initiated land reforms in several states. The most notable and successful example of land reforms are in the states of West Bengal and Kerala. Now, the main objectives behind land reforms in Kerala was to bestow on tenants ownership of a minimum of 10 cents of land, to end the old feudal relations by legitimizing the right of real peasants to own the land they cultivate, to introduce land ceiling and distribute excess land among the landless agricultural laborers, to abolish exploitation and inequalities in the agrarian sector, to ensure the consistent progress and transformation of society, to end the era of feudalism, to achieve economic development and modernization. Now, the impact of this was in Kerala, leasing of land became unlawful. The Janmis who lived by collecting lease became extinct. The leaseholders were given ownership of the land. A few big farmers who had cultivated on the leased lands also became owners of that land. Landowners sold their excess land. Hundreds of thousands of people got dwelling places of their own. The labor market was enlarged as former serfs entered it.
Hello. So today I'm going to be speaking about a very unique topic. So it's about an act which is called as the Forest Rights Act. So let's begin with the introduction of the act. So the Forest Rights Act, the FRA 2006, recognizes the rights of the forest dwelling tribal communities and other traditional forest dwellers to forest resources, on which these communities were dependent for a variety of needs, including livelihood, habitation and other socio-cultural needs. Now let's understand what was the objective of this act, which is called as the Forest Rights Act. So we are going to speak about three objectives of this act. So these are the important objectives. So to undo the historical injustice occurred to the forest dwelling communities, to ensure land tenure, livelihood and food security of the forest dwelling scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers. Now to strengthen the conservation regime of the forest by including the responsibilities and authority on forest rights holders for sustainable use. Now conservation of biodiversity and maintenance of ecological balance. Now let's understand the second part is that how is it relevant to the Indian businesses or on the Indian society. Now, implementation of the Forest Rights Act, which falls under the responsibility of state governments, has been uneven across India. Civil society actors routinely points to the lack of willingness of local authorities to move forward. The case of the Forest Rights Act in the situation faced by the other indigenous and rural communities worldwide. New research by the World Resources Institute revealed that the process to formalize the land rights remains extremely complex and slow in many countries, sometimes taking up to 30 years. Now, by contrast, companies are able to secure their access to land for industrial exploitation through procedures that last between 30 days and 5 years. The report notes highlighting the imbalance of power across legal systems that favor corporations.
In the first place, we need to know why did the government want to build a dam on river Narmada. So the government wanted to produce more water for irrigation and electricity purpose in the states of Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Gujarat. So they thought that this could be the best possible method. And this was signed during the time of our president in those years. So now the Narmada Bachao Andolan is an Indian social movement spread ahead by the national tribals, which are those Adivasis, farmers and the environmentalist and human rights activists against the large dam projects that were being constructed on the river Narmada. So the people in those areas, the tribal population which were residing in those areas, had to be dislocated to a new place. But the rehabilitation and the replacement of their houses was not being done as expected. There were a lot of delays, and hence these tribals started protesting. They started having hunger strike rallies, and they started making various films towards to show their anger towards the government. This whole campaign was mainly led by Medha Patkar and Baba Amte. So now when we talk about who all people were affected, all the tribals and the people residing in those areas were affected, and they passed they wanted to go to the court to find a method to solve this problem. So the court heard their issues, and they ordered that the state government should first provide them with proper rehabilitation and replacement facilities, and the work for the dam was stopped till then. And this was in favor of the Adivasis and the activists who were protesting against this movement. And in last, I just want to mention that Medha Patkar and Baba Amte received the Right to Livelihood Award in 1991 for this brave movement which they had started.
So I'll be speaking on right to fair compensation and transparency in land acquisition. This act is an act of Indian Parliament that regulates land acquisition and lays down the procedure and rules for granting compensation, resettlement to the affected persons in India. The Act has provisions to provide fair compensation to those whose land is taken away, brings transparency to the process of acquisition of land to set up factories or buildings, infrastructural projects, and assures resettlement of those affected. The Act establishes regulations for land acquisition as a part of India's massive industrialization drive driven by public-private partnership. The Act replaced the Land Acquisition Act 1894, a nearly 120-year-old law enacted during British rule. The Land Acquisition and Resettlement Bill 2011 was introduced in Lok Sabha on 7 September 2011. The bill was then passed by it on 29th August 2013 and by Rajya Sabha on 4th September 2013. The bill then received the assent of the President of India Pranab Mukherjee on 27 September 2013. The Act came into force from 1st January 2014. An amendment bill was then introduced in Parliament to endorse the ordinance. Lok Sabha passed the bill, but the same is still lying for passage by the Rajya Sabha. On 30th May 2015, President of India amended ordinance for the third time. So this was it.
I hope we were able to sum up the land and property rights of India through our video, and here I am to conclude. So the pace of implementation of land reform measures has been slow in India. The objective of social justice has, however, been achieved to a considerable degree. Land reform has a great role in the rural agrarian economy that is dominated by land and agriculture. So it has now been argued by the NITI Aayog and some sections of the industry that land leasing should be adopted on a large scale to enable landholders with unviable holdings to lease out land for investment, thereby enabling greater income employment generation in rural areas. This cause would be facilitated by the consolidation of land holdings. All in all, land reforms have been successful only in pockets of the country, as people have often found loopholes in the laws that set limits on the maximum area of land that is allowed to be held by any one person.